This is going to be my first tutorial on the V71. I did do a video on getting this kit and my first impressions. This series of videos is going to be going in depth on how to get the most out of the sound module and trying to understand the logic behind the controls and menus. I'm going to be doing all this on the V71, but I suspect 90% or so of this series will apply to the V51 and the V31 as well. My understanding is they have the same functionality under the hood, but they do have vastly different physical interfaces. So this tutorial will have a higher percentage of information that is specific to the V71. I did get to briefly use a V31, so I would say if you're following these tutorials with a different module, use the menu button as your starting point as we dig into menus. Don't start with the Easy Edit button. That tends to filter out a lot of functionality. Let's dig in. Let's take a look at the overall layout and logic of the sound module. In the upper right-hand corner, we have the System section. Pretty much every setting that has an effect over more than a single kit is accessed here. Below that, we have shared data entry controls, the arrows, the dial, enter, exit, shift, and the plus and minus buttons at the bottom. The shift key is useful in more places than you might think. On the front panel, there are labels in light gray beneath multiple buttons. Those are there to indicate the shift key invokes the labeled function. But there are multiple places where the shift key has an effect and there is no visual affordance. One example is the dial itself. In a lot of places, when you need to scroll through a long list of data more quickly, like the list of kits, you can hold down the shift key as you turn and the dial will move in larger increments. I'll show you another trick for moving quickly through the kit list when we get to the kit screen. Between the plus and the minus and data entry controls, we have trigger select buttons and pads for doing trigger selection. The lock button can both be a blessing and a curse, and we'll explore it more in a future video. The center kit area controls everything at the kit level and finer. That's important to keep in mind when you're hunting for things. If it's specific to a single kit, it's probably in this section. If it's system level, it's probably in the upper right. Everything off to the left consists of mostly volume controls, master output faders, and above those controls for click, song, mix-in, phones, and master. I love the phones only button. You click and hold it, it gives you a little countdown timer, and then it makes it impossible to forget you're in that mode. Just touch it again to turn it off. That's the overall layout of the controls, except for the center LCD and function buttons, which is used for multiple areas. Those F1 through F6 buttons have at least two modes. One is your standard scene view, where a soft label above each button tells you what it will do. Other times, when you're in a certain function, you'll see specific labels appear, such as close and select. To see the other mode, let's use setup to illustrate. F1 selects the first column, F2 and F3 select the second column, F4 and F5 select the third column, and F6 selects the final column. Let's go back to Kit and explore the central menu in depth in this video. Starting on the right is a button I actually missed for quite a while. If we hit F6, we get display choices. The first view shows the direct feeds and signal levels for whatever drum you hit, displaying the various direct levels, master, and phones output. The next view shows a blue flash on whatever pad you're hitting, similar to how many drum plugin simulations I've used work. It also shows the velocity of the strike. Clicking once more returns you to the normal view, or what I call the normal view. I actually prefer this view for one primary reason. When you're in setlist view, you can see the set list in the upper right-hand corner and navigate through it. It's good to know what song is coming next. In the other views, that disappears and the buttons change. So while the other views are useful for certain things, I stay in the home or default view most of the time. Moving one step to the left, we have the tools section. This is the most elaborate section and serves as a convenience function of sort. The four options on the left are also available in the system section, though there are some more options when they're accessed from there. Safety mode is more straightforward. Originally, I was a little hesitant to use it because I wasn't sure how to get out of it, but let's look at it now. Navigate to it with the arrow keys. Press Enter to confirm, and safety mode is enabled. In this mode, most editing functions are locked out, which prevents accidental changes during a live performance. However, it doesn't lock everything. The faders and master knobs still work, which I'd personally prefer to have locked, although there is a system setting that will disable the faders. To exit safety mode is really simple. Just press F1 and then confirm with enter. Copy Kit lets you copy one kit from any location to any user location. This is not a backup function. It does not save to the SD card, but it does let you copy from factory presets or an SD card into a user slot. You can either exchange two kits or copy from the source to the destination. Save Kit saves the current kit to the SD card, and you choose which backup slot you want to use. Load Kit is the reverse. If you've accidentally made changes and you want to restore a kit, come here and select the backup number. Choose the destination, confirm, and it restores. If you don't have an SD card, I would suggest buying one that's 32 gigabytes or smaller and making liberal use of it for backing up the entire module and individual kits. The copy pad instrument lets you copy either a single instrument from one kit to another or an instrument along with selected features such as EQ, compression, and others. You can uncheck all and then individually select only the attributes you want to copy. For example, just the compression from a specific kit to a specific drum in another kit. Kit name is very useful, but a bit tedious to edit. You use the dial to navigate characters, and there are buttons that let you quickly jump between uppercase, lowercase, and numbers. The arrows reposition your cursor for where you're editing rather than scrolling between characters. You have a main title and a subtitle line. Kit view determines how the kit appears, whether it uses a global image, a kit-specific image, or no image. If you have a lot of subtitle text with hints about a song in your set list, turning the image off can be a good option. Name size can be large, medium, or small, and I find medium works best since I tend to add additional information about the songs I'm playing. Snapshot is very important. When you make changes to a kit, they're saved immediately. If you make an unintended change, you can come here and restore from the last snapshot from when you first entered that kit. If you're working for a long session, you might want to come here and take intermediate snapshots. Click Save to save a snapshot of the current kit state. Now you can both get back to the start of your editing session or to your intermediate saved state. Unlike other functions in the Tools section, as far as I know, this is the only place Snapshot is accessible. All right, the other features. So wireless is turning Bluetooth and wireless on and off. The shuttle wheel also works here. Turning clockwise switches it on, counterclockwise switches it off. Phrase lets you turn the phrase on or off. If it's already on, triggering it plays a drum pattern using the current kit or was it whatever is assigned to the phrase. I haven't used this feature very much. The effects let you individually turn on or off any effects. This is things like the overhead mic, reverb, or special effects. The list button is likely going to be one of your most used areas. It lets you scroll through all available kits. The scroll wheel and plus minus buttons navigate the list. A great feature is the ability to favorite kits using the F2 button. Once you've starred your favorites, you can filter the list to show only the favorites, dramatically reducing the number of kits to scroll through. Another useful thing to do with favorites is to store, say, every 50th kit in here, and then you can quickly jump into different sections of your list without having to scroll through the entire thing. Holding Shift will jump by 10, but sometimes to get up to 150, even that's a lot of scrolling. That's enough for one video. We'll see you in the next one where we're going to dive deep on modifying all the instruments in a kit.